I'm going to pull it out.
We're just going to, stand here for a while.
I'd just like to keep you on your toes. Okay, I don't think I've actually ever held a mic while talking before like this, so this will be new for me. We'll get through it together. Hello. I invite you, because I needed to take the deepest breath that you have taken today. Okay, maybe one more. So I'm Miss Cook. I'm the communications specialist here at our school. This is my third year here at Eastern Mennonite. And today I'm going to tell you a story. My family loves to hike. In fact, most weekends you can find us hiking the Shenandoah National Parks. We were even lucky enough this summer to get to hike a volcano in Iceland. But even when we don't have time, we like to hike around the neighborhood, hike in the national forest. It's just a way to get outside and explore nature, to get a breath of fresh air, to have a different frame. When we hike as a family, we're usually extremely prepared. I'm talking the kind of prepared that is like, we have the snacks down to a science. We have the gear, we have the routines, we have the water bottles, we love it. But I'm going to tell you about a time when we were not prepared today. We used to live in North Carolina, and a family from church there asked us to go hiking with them one Saturday, as folks do. Hiking somewhere we had never been before. But because we wanted to make some friends, and they had kids the same ages as our kids, and it seemed like we were destined to be friends, we said yes. So I did zero research about where we were going before we set off. Highly unlike me, but also with a desire to make friends overriding that decision. So on this day, we were to hike Stone Mountain, North Carolina. We are going to meet them there. Stone Mountain is known for its 200-foot waterfall. Its large granite dome rising approximately like 600 feet above the valley floor, and its summit of more than 2,300 feet. Now, it was, as hikes go, kind of the ultimate hike. Everything you'd really want in a hike. We had a wonderful time. We played in water, we hung out, we found insects, we saw all sorts of creatures, and it was lovely. But because our hike started out a little later that winter afternoon, we started to notice that it was getting a bit dark. We tried to get our 2 preschoolers, 2 kindergartners, and 2 second graders at the time to start making their way back on the trek. Without letting on, though, the adults, myself included, were getting a little bit nervous. The darkness, once we were on the trail, was even darker under the cover of the trees. We found ourselves starting to stumble over roots and rocks. We wandered a bit, and it felt a little wild as we kind of jokingly at first, but then pretty seriously started to really focus on our feet. With less visibility in every step, my stomach turned as the realization hit me, we're going to have to hike the entire way back in the darkness. My new friend started to pull out her iPhone's flashlight, and I remembered something, an idea that came completely outside of me. Something that I had read, maybe in like 5th grade, about how eyes work. And I said, no, put it away. I think our eyes might adjust to the darkness. Look up. And sure enough, we did. We looked up, and what we saw was a clear winter's night sky with an illuminated full moon and more stars than I have ever seen in my life. The moon was so full and bright, it was such a better companion than the iPhone flashlight. With a little encouragement of the kids, who were a little nervous too, we walked with confidence and began to, instead of fear, see some enchantment about our situation. With some self-assurance, trusting the light from the darkening sky, we were able to find the path. So this comes at the end of 2020, after a lot of time in some darkness with some dark times in our lives, but also some moves, and a lot of time spent with friends through a lot of hard things. I needed that reminder that night. I needed to know that in a dark time, as poet Theodore Roethke writes, the eye begins to see. These words, of course, could be written about any kind of dark time. Dark night of the soul, dark night in reality. It could be also written about a dark night on the side of a mountain. We all have times when we need to let our eyes adjust. Today marks the first Advent chapel, and what I want to offer is a frame. This week is the Hope Week. I can only ever speak about hope from my own experience, so I'm going to tell you the truth. Some people walk around and think about hope like it's a balloon attached to a string. I have never experienced hope, or faith for that matter, like this. The only hope I have ever known is the kind born out of longing and persistence and a willingness to reach for it even when I'm not sure where it begins or ends. So somewhere in the middle, that's the hope I'm talking about today. I sat with this question of hope for a long time this weekend, and here's what I came up with. I think hope might be the anticipation of goodness, the quiet flutter of the heart that whisper, things could work out. And yet, hope is more than just a fleeting feeling or a flicker. Hope is a commitment. It's a commitment to keep showing up, to keep seeking, to keep waiting for God's light, even when the world feels dim or dark. So I should insert here that I did not grow up in the church. Usually my family went to church, but only on the holidays, and they'd pick a different one every time. So we went to Catholic churches, and we went to Mass, and we went to, evangelical churches, and we had people lay hands on us. It was a really confusing experience, but there was something about it that still weirdly drew me. I loved going to church. And now that I'm an adult, I know that they took us at the best possible time during the holidays. So I didn't mind that much being there. I loved the smells of church. I loved to sit behind the old lady in the pew in front of me who would belt the hymns at the top of her lungs, and I could smell her perfume. I think I still have a very distinct smell of a perfume experience I had on one silent night, Christmas Eve. So I loved the ritual of church, and I loved the feeling of being a part of something that was so much bigger than myself. And yet, I didn't believe in God. I had absolutely no cognitive ability to release myself from my questions and doubts to embrace something that was unknown. I didn't have that skill. I hoped, though, that one day I could be part of it. I would suspend my doubt often for the feeling of community, and even went through some of the motions. I had years of longing and doubt, and it only was until I was an adult, studying theology and sociology, I watched a woman on hospice. This was my moment. Open her eyes and speak the name of Jesus and pass into eternity. At that moment, I realized that this was a frame. I had just seen through the eyes of someone else in a way that came completely from outside myself. And I knew that the story I had been seeking was not one that I had ever experienced, but it was certainly one, just like on that night on the side of the mountain, that was about an orientation. It was about looking up and finding an entirely different kind of light. It was confirmed for me that this path, the path of presence that I actually had known all along, God's presence, had been with me, threaded through my questions and my doubts and my hard-won hope. Now, this is the tightest I have ever told this story, and of course, there are many, many years of stories for another time, but this journey is anything but linear, and it's certainly not neat. But as a frame in thinking about preparation, the thing that I wanted to share with you is that we mark these practices, this Advent time, by things like singing and prayer and time together and sharing of meals and special things. But you, like me, may not always feel like you're part of it. You might participate in it. You might be a part of the ritual. You might even love it. But you may not always feel it. And I am here to say to you today, if you are that person, Advent is your time. And so is Lent, but that's for another day. So maybe you're here and participating, but not exactly feeling it. This is the time to be honest with yourself, to feel your feelings, to breathe into the unknown. This is the work of Advent. This season is a season of waiting, of leaning into the hope that the world will be set right and that Christ is closer than we think. But hope is not blind faith. It is not any of the easy things. It is hard won. We have the opportunity to not be tempted to reach, though, for artificial lights during Advent. Those artificial lights like distraction and cruelty and numbing. Those things will lead you down a path, but it is not a path you want to go down. Consider Jan Richardson's poem, Where the Light Begins, which will be the anchor of our hope and practice this Advent. This is the music that many of you have been learning for the concert on Thursday. When Dr. Yoon shared it with me, I couldn't help but feel that flutter in my heart because there's something deeply true about these beautiful words that will keep us steady on our path as we do the work of hope together. And Mr. Gornter is going to read it for us this morning.
Perhaps it does not begin. Perhaps it is always. Perhaps it takes a lifetime to open our eyes to learn to see what has forever shimmered in front of us. The luminous line of the map in the dark, the vigil flame in the house of the heart, the love so searing we cannot keep from singing, from crying out in testimony and praise. Perhaps this day will be the mountain over which the dawn breaks. Perhaps we will turn our face toward it, toward what has been always. Perhaps our eyes will finally open in ancient recognition, willingly dazzled, illuminated at last. Perhaps this day the light begins in us.
Thank you. So, we will find a way to practice hope in our way, but I invite you to try on the definition that hope could be things can work out. Trust that you have an inner knowing that is wise and beautiful and worth fighting for. Suspend nothing. Allow yourself to feel every doubt and hope anyway. May we see the light that has always been shimmering before us, that our eyes would open to what has always been true. Emmanuel, God is here, God is with us, and you are already part of it. And the concert choir is going to sing with Miss Archer and directed by Dr. Yoon, Where the Light Begins.